You thought you were going crazy, and you never told anyone. Because how do you explain to someone that the life you were living suddenly felt like a costume you were wearing for someone else? That the things everyone around you cared about, the status, the appearances, the small talk, suddenly felt completely and utterly meaningless. You started feeling things more deeply than you ever had before, seeing things others couldn't see, knowing things you had no logical reason to know, and underneath all of it, this terrifying, beautiful, and unbearable feeling that something was happening to you, something you couldn't name, something nobody warned you about. Stay with me for the next 10 minutes, because what you thought was you losing your mind was actually you finding it. There was a specific moment when everything shifted. Maybe it came after a loss. Maybe it came quietly, in the middle of an ordinary Tuesday. However it arrived, and from that moment nothing looked the same. The world you had been living in suddenly seemed thin, like a stage set, and you started asking questions you had never asked before. Who am I without all of this? Why am I here? What is actually real? The people around you looked at you with concern. You seemed different, they said. Are you okay? You smiled and said yes, but inside, you knew something had cracked open, and whatever was coming through that crack was changing you in ways you could not yet understand. That crack was not a breakdown, it was a breakthrough beginning. Let me tell you exactly why spiritual awakening feels like losing your mind, because it is, in a very specific sense, exactly that. It is the loss of the mind you had before, the mind that accepted without questioning. That mind, the conditioned, socially constructed version of your mind, is think about what actually happens during an awakening. Your entire belief system gets questioned. Everything you were taught to value gets examined. Every certainty you relied on gets dissolved. Of course, that feels like madness, because the old mind experiences any threat to its structure as an emergency. It sends alarm signals. Something is wrong. Something is breaking. But here is what the old mind cannot tell you. Nothing is wrong. Everything that is breaking needed to break. Everything that is dissolving was never truly solid. The disorientation you are feeling, the not knowing who you are anymore, that is not a symptom of something going wrong. That is the signature of something going profoundly right. But here's what I need you to stay with me for. Spiritual awakening comes with symptoms. Real, physical, emotional symptoms that nobody prepares you for. And because nobody prepares you, you think something is wrong with you. Let me name them so you can recognize yourself. The first symptom is profound fatigue, not tiredness, bone-deep exhaustion that sleep does not fix. This happens because transformation is energetically expensive. Your entire system is being rewired. Your perception of reality is being restructured at a fundamental level. That takes energy, enormous amounts of it. The fatigue is not weakness, it is the cost of becoming. The second symptom is emotional intensity. Things that never used to affect you suddenly break you open completely. You find yourself crying at a sunset, or a song, or a stranger's kindness. Your heart is being a piece of music, a stranger's face, the way light falls through a window in the afternoon. You cry without knowing why. You feel joy so sharp it almost hurts. You are moved by things that used to pass right through you without leaving a mark. This is not instability. This is sensitivity being restored. You are coming back online after years of numbness. The third symptom is the inability to pretend. This one costs you the most socially. Suddenly you cannot sit through conversations that feel empty. Cannot perform enthusiasm for things that do not matter to you. The mask stops working. Not because you are being difficult, but because you are becoming too real to wear it anymore. The fourth symptom is the loss of your old identity. You wake up one day and the person you used to be, the one with the defined roles and comfortable certainties, feels like a stranger. Like someone you used to know. This is the most frightening symptom for most people, because without the old identity, who are you? The answer is coming, but it arrives slowly, and the time between losing the old self and finding the new one is the hardest part of the process. I want to tell you exactly what is happening beneath all of these symptoms, because understanding it changes everything. Your soul is taking over. For most of your life, your ego has been in charge. The ego, the constructed self built from other people's expectations, has been running the show, and it has done its best. It kept you safe. It built the life you have been living, but it was never meant to be the final version of you. It was always meant to be temporary. A scaffold, not the building. And now the scaffold is coming down, because the real structure, the soul, the part of you that existed before the world told you who to be, is strong enough now to stand on its own. This process, the dismantling of the ego, the emergence of the soul, is what every spiritual tradition in human history has tried to describe. Different words, same process. You are not broken. You are joining an ancient, unbroken lineage of people who were cracked open by life and chose to let the light in rather than sealing themselves back up. Understanding what is happening is powerful, but you still have to live through it. So here's how to navigate the awakening without losing yourself. First, stop trying to go back. The person you were before the awakening is gone. You cannot unknow what you now know. Trying to force yourself back into the old life is the source of most of the suffering. You cannot go back, but you can go forward, and forward is where everything real is waiting. Second, rest without guilt. The fatigue is real. Honor it. This is not laziness. This is your system asking for the resources it needs to complete the transformation. Sleep when you need to sleep. Withdraw from noise when your soul asks for quiet. The world will still be there when the transformation is complete. Third, find one person who understands. You do not need everyone to understand what you're going through. You need one person, one friend, one mentor, one community, where you can speak honestly without being looked at like you have lost your mind. That witness matters more than you know. Fourth, trust the process completely. This is the hardest one, because the process does not move on your timeline. It does not care about your comfort or your need for certainty. It is a biological and spiritual rewiring that has its own intelligence. Let go of the need to control the outcome. It moves at exactly the pace it needs to move. And your only job, your one and only job, is to stay open while it does. Not to force it, not to rush it, not to shut it down out of fear. Just to stay open and trust that what is emerging is worth what is being lost. You are not losing your mind. You are losing the version of your mind that was too small for who you are becoming. And what is replacing it? The wider awareness, the deeper feeling, the clearer seeing, the truer knowing, is more real than anything the old mind ever showed you. The madness was never madness. It was the beginning of the most important journey of your life. And you are further along than you know. Keep going, chosen one. The person emerging from this process is the one you were always meant to be. If this described exactly what you have been going through, share it with someone who needs to know they are not alone. Subscribe to Sacred Chosen Journey for weekly messages made specifically for you. Drop a prayer why if this found you at exactly the right moment, but the awakening is only the door. In my next video, I'm going to share the 5 daily practices for newly awakened souls to keep your energy grounded so you don't feel overwhelmed by the world. Subscribe and hit the bell so you can stay balanced as you grow.